WNST, Towson, Baltimore. Baltimore positive. We are through the 4th of July, and I don't know what to make of this week, man. You know, everybody knew it was going to be weird. 4th of July in the middle of the week. Dennis is still going to be here on Thursday and Sunday doing the Sunday Sports Voice. He'll be back on Thursday between 3 and 5. Dennis Koulatsos joins us now from Coons Baltimore Ford, where they sold some cars during the holiday. I don't know. Do people buy cars more when it's 100 degrees or less? You tell me. I don't know.
When their deals are out there and they need a vehicle, yes, they come out regardless of the weather. And right now the deals are good. The inventory is solid, and we delivered 18 vehicles on 4th of July. We were out of here by 6 o'clock as well. So it's a great day for us.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't, even for a car dealership or for restaurants, like Monday night, I'm like, if I go out, is it like a Monday night or is it like a Saturday? It's so weird in the summer too. People are at the beach. Everybody's in Delaware, Ocean City, or here, there, doing other things. But meanwhile, the Orioles thing, or at the early part of the week, they go up to New York. They had a rough weekend here, right? I mean, you went out to the ballpark last week. They get a rough weekend, and now they've hit like, I don't know, they might win 3 games by the time people hear this on Sunday or whatever, right? By the time you're on the air. But this has been their first, all right, they're stuck in the mud a little bit right now. As if we're all sort of waiting on it a little bit because it's bound to happen 162-game season. But they need more pitching. I mean, and Elias knows that. They all know this, that this isn't going to hold up over the long haul.
Well, the problem is the pitching cooled off, and so did the bats, right? They haven't really produced any runs in about a week's time, and you can't have that. The only way to compensate for poor pitching is by trying to outscore the opposition, of course. And well, those two things don't come together, man. I tell you what, it's crazy, and they're hanging in there. They're losing 2 out of 3 series and whatnot, but let's see what happens. They're facing some adversity for the first time in a long time, and I'm curious to see how this team will respond.
Well, adversity, I mean, they've been an adverse franchise for most of 30 years, right? So to have things going so well that you lose a couple of games in New York and you lose a couple of games at home, these are first world problems for a baseball franchise that's trying to be a pennant winning team and a relevant team and have this not go to hell in a handbasket, right? Let a lot of young players, to your point, but there's pedigree all over the field at this point. And this is maybe even taking this to the Ravens, that if there's problems during the season, there's pedigree here to try to work that out, try to help that, especially in the wide receiver room for the football team. This is a chance for Adley Rutschman. This is his first, hey, things aren't going well. I came up, we've been winning the whole time. We're playing great baseball in April and May, and now things are happening around all them. And listen, it's got to be hot, right? Middle of summer. These guys are young, and I know all that, but that's part of this, is that these are long, hot seasons. You're in New York. The one thing I thought about New York on Monday night, and I do appreciate Mr. Angelos for allowing me to watch the game on Masson on Monday. They play the Yankees. They're on Masson 1, and Palmer's there, and it's like, you know, but 4th of July, holidays, like all that. I watched the game Monday night, and this was just me, okay? I haven't been down to the stadium since opening day, and there were people down there. Some were paying attention, some weren't. You've been to what, 3 or 4 games? You've been out there?
I am 1-5 at Camden Yards, so I'm not allowed to go there anymore. But I don't believe in jinxes. But yeah, 6 games so far this year.
Wow, that's 6 more than you've been to in the last 10 years, right? I mean, like
at least, yes, maybe the last.
You spend a long stretch of time here, twice a week with me on your show, and just saying, I don't go when they're ready to, when they're gonna put good coffee in the cup, I'll go drink it, right?
Good coffee in the cup. I mean, they have four all-stars on the team, and they've built some equity, right? They've gotten off to a very good start, so they can't afford to face some headwinds, some speed bumps, if you will. But they've got to power through them, Nestor. They've got to figure it out, and whether Brandon Hyde needs to play small ball, shuffle the lineup, he's got to do something to jolt his team in an effort to get them to perform better.
Well, they do everything on analytics and statistics. That's the way the organization is. By the way, Buck Showalter now 3-1 to be the first manager fired in Major League Baseball. I got the odds on that. I'm thinking they'll bet on anything here in this culture with sports. But I do want to take this back to Monday night. So Monday night, game's on, and I put it on, right at the beginning. I'm watching the pregame show a little bit, Yankee Stadium, the whole deal. And they walk out and the game starts. And I'm seeing Oriole batters up when the Yankees people are doing roll call for the left fielder, the center fielder, they're yelling the names and all that. And I'm looking as they pan the stadium, and people are popcorns and this and that, but there's people everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, night before 4th of July, everybody's off. It's like a Saturday night. It was a Monday night. And I thought to myself, just for some of these young players, and that's most of the team. That's not Aaron Hicks, who got roundly booed and, like all of that for his homecoming and all that. But walking into a stadium when you're a very young man. I mean, these are guys who just got called up the last couple of weeks. Like every week we're calling up a Jordan Westberg and saying he's the next this or the next that, or we get saviors all along. Wait till Kowser's coming up. All these guys will be coming up, right? Then they walk into the real Yankee Stadium. They've been at the Grand Hyatt in New York. The bus picks them up. They go up the freeway. They show up Yankee Stadium. They get there 3:00. They're taping up. And then they walk out, BP, the whole deal. But then the game starts, and there are people there. Lots and lots and lots of people. No offense to Major League Baseball or these players or the Orioles crowds or whatever. Boy, oh boy, man, I watch the Orioles every night, right? They're lonely.
Yeah.
When they go to Tampa, it's lonely. When they're home, all right, Friday night, Saturday night, they didn't score any runs, they didn't get any hits. Shaq was good, the whole deal, right? But there were people in the ballpark on Friday and Saturday night, and they didn't play well. Like they just didn't. I don't know. Maybe if I had to come out and do this show in front of a Wembley Park, crowd, I'd wet myself, right? It is different. But I think for them, they're going into these big environments, right? This week, big crowds, Yankee Stadium, guys all over the field making $50 million, $300 million payroll, the whole deal. And I thought for them on Monday night, well, this is a little different for them. This is different. There's a real crowd. Here's a lot of people. It's an American League East game. They don't have a lot of them. If they wet the bed and lose all these games, they're still fine. They're good. They're going to be in okay shape either way. But I did think this is a different kind of challenge because most nights they go to Oakland, nobody's there. Like I'm trying to think of places they've been lately where there's been a lot of people, where there's been a big crowd, other than Friday and Saturday at home. These Yankee Stadium games, it felt like real baseball to me. It felt like old school baseball to me in a way that when they're playing Tampa and there's 11,000 people there, yeah, it feels like May,
Well, that's a very astute observation on your part, Nestor. And I would imagine Yankee fans tend to be very loud. I've never been to Yankee Stadium, don't know what the atmosphere is like there on a free 4th of July evening against the American.
I would call it carnival-like in that
right?
it sounds like a ballpark when you're there. Yeah, I mean, the Yankee fan. I mean, if you're putting yourself together and doing the subway ride or the freeway, nobody lives in the neighborhood. Everybody's coming from a long way, and there's billions of Yankees fans, right? So when they get there, they want to participate in roll call because they watch it on TV every night, right? So like the Yankees, I've been up there where tickets are $5 and you can just walk in, playoff games. So I don't think there's any crescendo, and certainly not having a great year in any way, but there is something about that stadium never feels like our stadium does when it's lonely, right? Maybe it feels that way after 3 rain delays at 1:00 in the morning some night or whatever. But Yankee Stadium would never, when you go into Yankee Stadium, it's carnival-like. Everything's expensive, everything's new, everything's shiny. It feels like a giant mall, honestly, when you walk in. But it's when the game starts and there are 40,000, 45,000 people in there, as there were Monday and Tuesday.
They're yelling.
It's a different thing for a 22-year-old ball player than playing in Norfolk or than playing even in Camden Yards. I mean, I just think there's a little bit of weight and they're slumping, and I think it's getting to their head a little bit. This is just a rough week. And it's the first time we've talked about it being a rough week, and you're now vested, having spent money and gone down there 7 times. You want them to do well. This is a test for them, to your point. It's a speed bump.
Well, no, for me, Nestor, it's been a great epiphany. I know the lineup from bottom to top, top to bottom. I know the pitching staff. I know the coaches, and I know the guys coming up.
Bitched about the manager. You don't like the lineup. That's how into it you are.
Right. We know the guys are AAA and AA and A ball. We know all about Jackson Holiday. So yeah, I'm invested in the team, and I want to see them do well. And I realize and I recognize that they do have some shortcomings, particularly with that pitching staff. I mean, their ERAs are just the ERA per pitcher is through the roof.
Well, and they're getting into the bullpen. And this is where Luke is the smartest guy in the room amongst us, and you know that to be true. Where, Luke was back in May like, hey, I'm a statistics guy. They're winning too many one-run games. They're winning too many close games. And then I said to Luke, what's the elixir? He's like, well, they need more blowouts. And I'm like, Luke Jones's headline, Orioles should blow out more competition. Now, wouldn't that make it easy, right? But when you don't, and Luke's on vacation, getting fat on Max Pizza up there at Wildwood right now, having a good time with his family and his niece. And I'm seeing pictures. I love that. 15 years in, there's nothing you love more than seeing your employees and your friends do well.
Oh my God, that's great.
So like watching him have this family vacation, but the Orioles have more. Luke, you got to get your ass back because they ain't won since you left, you know.
This is
But
true.
Luke said back in May, he was very, very like, hey man, pump the brakes on this. They're using the bullpen too much. They don't have great starters. Means looks like he's not coming back. Rodriguez is not an is. He's a might be. DL Hall, Grayson Rodriguez. I mean, our dream was by the All-Star break, they're in the rotation. They're pitching well. They're out there. We're not close to that. So whatever Gibson's going to be, whatever these 5 or 6 guys they've been throwing out there, and I'll throw Rodriguez into that because I mean, there's going to come a point where he's going to get another turn here because he can't not get a turn. He's their guy. They at some point they're going to give him the ball. I, I like that they're slumping a little bit before the All-Star break. I like that they can get through the weekend and they're going to get a little bit of a break next week. These guys are going to go out to Seattle and come back with a whole bunch of new gym equipment and their Grammy bag of stuff that you get at the All-Star game. But there'll be a fresh start next weekend. And no matter how this ends at the end of this week, no matter how it goes this weekend for them, they had a good first half, but I don't want to see them end in the first half losing 9 of 11 or 10 of 12 or whatever they're heading toward right now. And it's not good, but there will be a fresh slate of paint next week for the second half. And all things being measured, they've had a great first half, but it's hot. It's crowded in New York. They're getting tired. Pitching looks tired, and they're good. I hope they use this All-Star break wisely. Right?
And speaking of the All-Star game, Nestor, I can't tell you the last time I watched an All-Star game, but I'm going to watch this one because, again, for all the reasons you just stated, I'm invested in this team. I know the players, and I can't wait to see the 4 Oriole All-Stars participate in the game.
Well, it's a Rutschman homecoming, too, in the home run derby and his dad.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I think the home run derby is the worst thing ever. I've attended 15 of them.
Oh.
I never liked them. I think the rules are stupid. It's just, and when you're in the stadium, it's just other than, at home, it's back, all the Chris Berman and all that stuff. Like I got worn out on it. I didn't love it in the 90s. So we're 25 years into this. And I used to go to the All-Star game and be like, I'm not sitting at the ballpark for 3.5 hours watching this, unless I'm out there in left field trying to get foul ball or home run balls. It's not that entertaining to me, but I'm with you. Rutschman's involved. He's a special guy here. We're at the beginning of something. This is a night for him, to have a coming out party, right? He's a 1-1, but he plays in Baltimore. They're not, we're on the map, but we're not on the map in that way. And baseball players have a hard time. They can't get Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on the map from a marketing standpoint. So he could be a great hope for them. If the Orioles win 3 World Series in the next 8 years, he'll be a part of that. He'll get a $400 million deal, but he's only going to have one All-Star game in his hometown, right? I mean, that's the way he might have one in Baltimore if Angelos ever sells the team to get a real owner in here, and the league isn't so angry that they don't give the All-Star game to Baltimore, which is the way that's gone down the last 10 years. Pay your Masson bill, Pete, and we'll get an All-Star game. That was kind of how that negotiation went. But for Rutschman, this is a big thing. And I think to your point, I'm invested in Rutschman. I love his act. One of the things with the baseball team, the football team throwing me at is I don't know Adley Rutschman. Part of me wishes I was covering Adley Rutschman because it would be interesting to sit and talk to him because he seems like he's got his ish together.
It does, and I thought I read somewhere where his father's going to be actually pitching to him at the All-Star game. How cool is that? I mean,
that's why I'm watching. I'm saying I don't watch the home run derby, but I'm going to watch Rutschman because that's a good thing for Baltimore is going to be a part of it. He's a 1-1. He's the next golden child of baseball. We think we got a good team. We think we're going to be playing baseball in October for a few years, and Rutschman's going to be a part of it. I love that he's stepping out to do it.
Well, I love the fact that he gets to tell his grandkids that his father actually pitched, and they can actually watch it. Their grandfather pitched to him at an All-Star game, and I'm sure growing up as a young man, that I don't know if that thought ever crossed his mind or his father's mind for that matter. I just think it's a wonderful storyline in that regard.
A lot of these players, back when I covered them, and I haven't been around them in a long, long time, the fragility of the ego and of the home run derby, if you go out there and you don't do well or you don't win or you hit line drives or whatever, I just remember Rafael Palmeiro is my favorite sort of, village idiot when it comes to baseball, but I spent some time with him. He had beliefs like stupid stition that, you'll put me into a slump. You could that a media member or a home run derby could put him into a slump. Okay. Like that's the stupid stition of baseball or whatever. And Rutschman's like, my hometown, my dad gets to pitch to me. I just want to go hit and be a part of it. I don't, he probably wants to win, but I don't think he's thinking, well, I might only hit 8 home runs and get knocked out in the front. I don't even know how the rules work anymore. They change them every year. But I love that there's a part of it because he kind of got screwed on the voting, right? I mean, he should have been the starter and like all that, and we can go up and down the river. Dennis, I used to do a week of radio from 1992 until the Ravens mattered, like 99 to the first 10 years of my career. We would do a week on how Greg Olson got screwed out of the All-Star game. And my God, we did 2 years on Messina and Cito Gaston in 93, right? Like the All-Star game used to really matter and this and that, and Rutschman getting screwed out of the starting position, but he's going to go and participate. And he's young, and it's his hometown thing. I'm all in. I'm going to watch Monday night because of him. And if he weren't hitting in the home run derby, I have no interest in watching some kid from the Blue Jays. I just don't.
I worry about when the Orioles participate in the All-Star game, Nestor, because all those guys overswing, and it takes them several games to get their swing back to normal. They pick up because they're overswinging. They're trying to knock the ball out of the park, and it does mess up their swing. That's one thing I read about many years ago.
Rutschman's going to be fine. I mean, a lot of people would say he hadn't hit the ball that well lately anyway. He needs some more extra cuts. So
look, Michael Jordan used to miss, when he had a couple days off, he'd play 36 holes of golf, and Bill Jackson used to get very mad at him because he would lose his basketball stroke. He would, because of the muscle memory from swinging a golf club versus shooting a basketball. So
I don't think Michael missed his muscle memory. I think
he did. He should take him about a half a game to get his act back together again, which was okay during the regular season. But what drove Phil nuts was Michael did that during the playoffs, and so he would be off for the first half of a game the day after he played golf.
He wasn't golfing. He's playing cards in Atlantic City. Come on, you know better than that.
Well, he was also betting on every shot, but we're not going to talk about that. You want to talk about MJ's at his gambling prowess?
He used to own an NBA. Well, it is amazing with competitive people, right? With Pete Rose and with, when you have that itch, you have that thing going on. You and I don't have it in any way, really. My dad didn't have it, but I do worry. And the baseball thing, people talk to me about baseball and gambling and all that. And when I talk to baseball people about it, I'm like, it's really weird and gross that that they really believe their money is going to be in betting on every pitch moving forward. That you're going to be able, it's going to be like a blackjack game. You're going to be able to bet on every pitch, every at bat, red or black, strike or ball. It's going to be.
That's insane.
We're moving in that direction with and I think that's what baseball deep down they believe that they can bring the football gambler or the poker play, whatever that is, to baseball because there will be plenty of action. As opposed to baseball being, it's boring or whatever, that this would be the action in baseball. Hey, it's the action in cricket. I don't know anything about cricket. All I know is they play it in Pakistan, India, Jamaica, all over the world, and every place they play it, it's a gambling game. It's a gambling game. Like football is a gambling game in this country. It really is, right? Yeah. More so than anything else. But baseball, we're watching. You're invested in the All-Star game. You got me watching the home run derby. You're going back to the ballpark. That's good. We didn't even talk any football in this segment. We'll do that on your show. Dennis Koulatsos will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. Again on Sunday. Make it a little football in. I'm going to get for you, because you always ask me about the crab cake tour. I did a whole education this week at Fadley's with Marty Gary, who is a fisheries biologist on the Potomac River, Catonsville resident. And he told me about these gigantic invasive blue catfish that were stocked in Virginia in the early 1970s and late 60s, thinking they were not going to be harmful. And everything about the ecology changed, and they're now coming up the river. Hey, you know what? I think I can even share this with you because I shared it out on the front of the website. But our mutual friend, Sam Tudor, is out on the front of WNST right now. You can go check it out. He's holding a catfish that looks like it ate nuclear waste. You know what I mean? It's so awkwardly fat, and these fish are eating everything at the bottom of the Chesapeake, including our crabs. So, and Damien was telling me about it down at Fadley. So I know you're a fisherman. So we're going to talk about that on your show a little bit when I visit with you this week.
All right. Sounds like a plan. I used to fish for catfish at the Conowingo Dam many years ago, so I know a little bit about it.
Different. These are like on your plate. These are like carp. They can be 100 pounds, and they grow exponentially, and they school, like they surround predators. it's a whole different animal, and it's really kind of scary. I mean, to have a biologist, and I always say, and I'll bring this up on your show, this is like a horror movie where they didn't listen to the scientist in the beginning,
Oh,
right?
wait until we talk about snakeheads. You talk about invasive. That's the between snakeheads and catfish. I guess they'll eat everything in the lake.
Sammy Tudor's going to get me out on his boat and his YouTube channel as well. He's a Coons Baltimore Ford customer and fishing buddy of Dennis as well. Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, again on Sunday. Happy holidays to everybody celebrating red, white, and blue. I hope you're at the beach. I hope your toes are in the sand. I hope the Orioles start playing better this weekend, and I hope we're all enjoying the All-Star game next week. I'm Nestor. He's Dennis. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore positive.